Yo, what's up? How's it going? Today we'll be doing a patch notes rundown for 9.3. It's the first one I'm doing, so this should be fun. This is the big patch where they're nerfing the big solo laners that have been dominant in pro play for God knows how long, like literally since Worlds plans have been the best champions in the game. So that's exciting to see. Kind of exciting to see, kind of not, because sad to see some champions die, but also ADCs are back, baby. So anyways, let's just get right into it. So we got Aatrox coming up. We'll just talk about him first. So health regen increase. I'm just going to read these first little parts right here, and then we'll talk about the stuff changed here. So health regen increased. Aatrox no longer heals off of damage to non-champions. E no longer stores a charge, but cools down faster, but than it previously charged. Okay. Yeah, so the healing thing is really huge. This health growth stat and health regen probably isn't enough to compensate for Aatrox healing. I don't know if people are familiar when you like trade with Aatrox and then he does a full Q combo to the wave. He has all of his health back. Won't be able to do that anymore. So that's actually a huge nerf for his laning phase. So that's a pretty big deal. He'll actually have to hit those Q combos on the champions in order to heal back. So that's what that means right there. So it's a pretty big nerf, especially for his laning phase. And the Umbral Dash is a normal cooldown. So the cooldown will be 9, 8, 7, 6, and 5 respectively based off of level. And it doesn't store up a charge, so it's a shorter cooldown. It shows a cooldown right here, but that's like the cooldown in between dashes. But that doesn't show the charge rate, because now it doesn't have a charge rate. It's just its own just normal ability without a charge rate. So you won't be able to do like the dash combos where you like dash for a Q, you do a second Q, and then you dash in mid-air for the third Q, like to surprise them. So you won't be able to do that combo anymore. So this champion in pro play is probably dead, or is like maybe a pick you can pick like bottom of the barrel, or as like a counter pick, you know, as like a good matchup, like a matchup into a tank or something, maybe, but might be completely dead because of not being able to double dash in a fight. He's probably going to be really problematic for himself. Might be able to double dash with 40% CDR. You might be able to double dash. You might be able to dash Q in and then dash again on the second half. Probably, yeah, definitely won't be a first phase pick, and probably is completely out of the pro meta. Definitely still playable in solo queue. So probably still playable in solo queue, but this is the main part of the nerf. The healing nerf is really strong in the laning phase, so that's definitely gonna hurt. What's that off? My homeboy got online. Been playing some Apex Legends. I know nobody wants to hear about that, but it's been fun. Don't really do battle royales, but that game's fun. Anyways, cool. Talk about Akali. Really sad about this, but something needed to happen. Akali is probably my favorite champion in the game, other than Lee Sin. I just have a soft spot for Akali. She's my most played champion, actually. Anyways, so we'll read the little small thing up here. Health regen increased. Q no longer heals. Turret reveal Akali through Shroud. So turrets will now reveal Akali through Shroud. W cooldown increased late. So here's a health regen increase to compensate for healing. So you will no longer be able to heal with the 5-point shark. So we don't need to read this. So previously how it worked is you would heal when you have 180 energy, which is like something that every Akali player knows, and you like maintain your laning phase around your Q heals. So this is the really big part of the nerf, in my opinion. I mean, the W thing is pretty important, but the really big part of the nerf for me is this makes it impossible to blind pick Akali, because Akali actually has a lot of matchups that is going to be really bad for her now. So previously she doesn't have a lot of bad matchups like in solo queue. She has a lot of matchups where she doesn't have kill pressure in lane. Like that's a lot of matchups for Akali. That's why her win rate's pretty low. There's tons of matchups where she doesn't have kill pressure, especially in the top lane. But most matchups, she completely has control of the lane, whether she lives or dies. Like she's completely unkillable because of the 5-point stroke, and how her healing works with her energy. So this is going to hard affect this. So generally if you're in a bad matchup, like you're in a bad Akali matchup, you can go in for a trade, and then you can sit under tower, wait for your healing to be ready, Q, proc down your W, get another heal, and then you're at half health again. So you won't be able to do that anymore. So let me turn my music down. It's so loud. So not being able to do that is going to be really, really bad. So as far as pro play, this champion is most likely dead. This champion is probably super dead. And as far as solo queue goes, probably dead as well. The Q healing was important in team fights. Like, it was nice, but it wasn't like... It wasn't that crazy, you know? Like, you didn't, like, plan around your Q healing. I mean, there's certain situations you're good. I personally play a lot of Akali, and you can plan around your Q heals, but usually you're playing around, like, keeping them busy. I was explaining to a friend the other day, like, what Akali's job mainly is in a fight, and you do a lot of disruption as well as obviously assassinations. If anybody plays Overwatch, she's kind of like Tracer, where your main job is you're causing a lot of disruption. You're keeping their entire, like, you can keep an entire team busy and not die at the same time, as well as get kills. Like, getting kills is a bonus. Like, you want to get your assassinations, but if you're keeping an entire team busy, providing that disruption is important. So she'll still be able to provide her disruption that she wanted to. Maybe not as effective with the W nerf, but this is definitely going to hurt her laning phase. So those matchups that were previously okay for Akali are now going to be really bad for her. So as far as pro play, she's definitely not going to be blind pickable, and is probably completely out of the meta. So probably not playable at all. Probably very niche picks. But I would not pick her up in solo queue if you're wanting to climb. She's already a hard champion to kind of 1v9. If you were trying to, like, 1v9 carry, she was probably not your best option in the first place. She's not the best, like, 1v9 carry champion in the first place anyways, since her previous nerfs. So the W no longer shielding her from turrets. That was always weird to me when they added that to the game, that she has true stealth. Never made any sense to me. True stealth from turrets, that never made any sense to me. So I'm kind of happy this is gone, but it does take her this unique utility out of her kit, which does definitely hurt her disruption in team fights and her disruptions from dive. So definitely hurts her kill potential there. So that is a huge nerf as well. So probably kills the champion. So this champion's probably dead. Maybe a niche pick in pro play, but I wouldn't pick her up in solo queue. Cool. So Camille, hookshot, E no longer stuns minion. So I read this explanation. So they want to balance Camille for being in top lane, because she's kind of trash in top lane, in my opinion. I really try to play her in top lane, and she has a lot of bad matchups into a lot of the fighters that are strong. So, and she was really strong in the jungler for a long time, especially in pro play. Especially in China, and starting to come about in Korea a little bit. So this is the try. This is an effort to make her a niche pick in jungle, is what they put right here. Make her a niche pick in jungle, and so that they can further balance her for top lane, because they can't mess with her numbers or mess with any of her stats, because that would make her too overpowered for the jungle, because she's already a strong jungle pick, especially for pro play, because her level 2 ganks are insane. This doesn't affect, like, level 2 ganks, but this definitely affects her clear speed. So whenever you hit your hook shot on monsters minions, you get that extra attack speed, and also applies damage, obviously, and then applies damage, and also keeps you a little bit more healthy, because it stuns the camp, obviously. So this is going to affect her clear speed and her career health. So this will definitely affect Camille. She was already kind of dying in solo queue a little bit, so I wouldn't pick her up in solo queue. As well as, I mean, Camille's playstyle is kind of dying anyways. The jungle is really interesting right now. I don't personally like the jungle nerfs. There's like 2 playstyles that are kind of coming out of it. There's like the ultra, like, gank heavy style, like the Camille, the Xin Zhao, that's still, like, relevant. And then there's super supportive, like Ivern Nunu type of style. I don't like either of those styles. So, be interesting how it develops. But they're trying to balance her to be a top laner again. So, this is an effort to make her a bad jungler. so that people will start playing her top lane again, so that then they can make her a better top laner. So that's the effort, because they want her to be played in the top lane. So this makes sense to me. I don't like her in the jungle. I want her to be a top laner too. Cassiopeia, Q base damages decreased, ratio increased, W reduced late, cost decreased. So here's the nerf right here. So damage decrease, so as you put points into it, the ratios increase, so late game it'll be a little bit better. W mana is increased, and damage is decreased scaling. This damage nerf doesn't really mean all that much, and the mana doesn't mean all that much. This is an effort. When I'm reading this is like an effort to go back to the playstyle of Emax Cassio, because most people have been going Q and W, like Q max then W, with Comet. So this is like an effort to move Cassio back to like that Emax like kiting type of thing. So I like Cassio more as that rather than like a poke champion where she just throws out her W and puts 1 Q on you. Goes for the Comet poke. So this is an effort to make her like that. Does this make her the triple flex always banned champion still? Maybe not always banned, but probably still a triple flex champion in pro play. If you're playing in solo queue, you probably didn't see her every game anyways, but probably still a strong champion. Takes a lot of skill to play this champion in the first place, but might want to try moving back to the Emax build. That might be the direction going for her. But anyways, probably still super strong champion for pro play. Probably still the triple flex first pick ability, probably. We'll have to see. Have to see how like scrims come out and stuff. Cool. Irelia. Cool. All right. Health growth and armor increase. Passive stack cap increase. Stacks grant attack speed. Increase instead of damage. Max stack bonus grants damage instead of attack speed. Q bonus minion damage increase. W reduces more physical damage, but no longer reduces magic damage. Okay. Health growth increase. So health scaling increase. Base armor increase. That's pretty good. So this is an effort to push. This whole thing is an effort to push her back in the top lane. Because generally people are AD in top lane. Cool. So here's a bunch of stuff. Okay. I have to process this a little bit. They move these around, like this is like confusing how they put this. 17 attack damage, attack percentage. Okay. So they added more attack speed into her kit and a little bit less damage, but they added more base damage into her Q. So her passive actually, her early laning phase is actually a little bit stronger, like her level 1, level 2 type of stuff. It's actually a little bit stronger, especially in the AD champions. And her damage reduction on her W is a lot stronger. This is pushing her completely out of mid lane. Could be in mid lane very situationally, like if you already know the pick, like obviously you could pick into like, into an AD champion, but definitely not blind pickable in the mid lane anymore. And is definitely pushing her into the top lane as like kind of like an auto attack based champion. So more of an auto attack based champion in the lane phase, with obviously like the finesse that Irelia has, the auto attack with the stun and the, always do it, all that good stuff. In terms of how good this champion is, this overall is a buff to her laning phase. Oh my gosh, well master. This is a buff to her laning phase for sure. But not in the mid lane. So completely push out of the mid lane, but into AD champions. This is definitely a buff. I watched a lot of TF Blade's stream to get more information on this. Obviously, he's an Aurelia player. To watch how he felt about the patch, or not to really get his input, but just to watch him play and to see how it was feeling for him. And he had the same sentiment. Getting the 5 stacks in lane, like able to get to the 5 stacks. And like auto trading with people felt a lot more powerful. Her bad matchups still feel bad. But some of them that were kind of like slightly less in her favor now feel like more playable. So those feel a little bit more playable for the Irelia player. So definitely playable in solo queue. So it's still a pick you can play in solo queue, and especially into a AD heavy team. Not blind pickable in mid lane for sure. So not a very good blind pick. This will probably push her out. I don't know if it'll completely push her out of the pro meta, but we'll probably have her. She definitely won't be blind pickable. She won't be like the ultra flex pick type of deal. So this whole patch is trying to get rid of that like stupid nonsense where you just see like Irelia Aatrox first pick or like first round, you know, or like Urgot Aatrox, you know, all that shit. I mean, Urgot's not touched in this, but you know that annoying shit where it's just flex pick. Like you just see like 4 flex picks picked in a row. They flex pick literally the jungler, the top laner, the mid laner, and the AD. Are all 4 could go in any of those roles except for like the person who could be the AD can't be a jungler, but the jungler could be the mid laner and the mid laner could be the jungler. Like they have like an Aatrox, right? They have like an Aatrox that could be the jungler or the mid laner or the top laner, and they have a Cassio who could be the mid laner, the top laner, or the bot laner, and they have a Lucian who can flex to those lanes anyways. Like you're just like, what's happening? So getting rid of those powerful champions, so getting back to a more standard, which I don't know if it's better, but I'm personally tired of seeing these champions dominate the game for literally almost like 8 months. Even though I like these champions, like, but come on, as far as pro play goes, come on. Cool, that's actually all with champion nerfs, but let's go over to itemizations. Cool, so Cloak of Agility is back. It says new, but it's back. Cool, so Cloak of Agility's back, so 20% crit chance, it costs 80 gold, so this was weird that this was gone in the first place. Yay, we're back. So crit is basically reverted with a couple of changes. Infinity Edge doesn't quite have as much crit as it used to, but 25%. So it's basically back to what it used to do. No longer does it true damage, but has a 25% bonus. So you can actually first build this item again. So you can first build this, and it's much better build path. So doesn't have BF pickaxe and then plus 1225. That was just weird. It was like another BF sword. It's like BF sword pickaxe, but then you so now it's BF sword pickaxe Cloak of Agility 425. So you actually can get some things out of your gold. So you can actually first build this if you want to. We're either going to see people building this first or going back to that build where you'd get BF sword and then build your zeal item, which is what I imagine some people will do. I don't know. You might just want to get the early Infinity Edge build. Needs to be seen. So Essence Reaver is basically reverted. So it's reverted to, I believe this is completely reverted to what it used to be. Now grants critical strike chance, no longer grants mana or Essence Flare. So this isn't going to be the old Essence Flare that it used to be. So this is back to being an item that a champion like Ashe or Xayah can build. Be interesting to see if this will be a first build item. This will probably be Xayah's first build. It'll be interesting to see if this is Ashe's first build, because the Bork build was going pretty well for Ashe. Be interesting to see. So damage is reduced. I don't actually know if this is the exact same damage that it used to be, or if these are the exact same numbers. I believe it used to be 25%, but this is back to being an item that is barely built on any champions. So Essence Reaver has always been kind of a niche item anyway, so probably definitely first build on Xayah, maybe Ashe, maybe back to Ashe, but I don't know, the Bork build was going pretty well for her, so we'll see. Probably first build on Ashe, since the crit changed, so Essence Reaver, Zeal item, BF, or Infinity Edge, maybe? Who knows? This patch is going to be a lot of testing, but Essence Reaver definitely is reverted. Spear of Sojin is a new item, so you saw this in Nexus Splits, but it's not the same Nexus Splits item. I wish it was. I loved it in Nexus Splits, but grants attack damage, health, cooldown direction, Awakened Dragon. So this is the Essence Reaver. So this is what Essence Reaver, this is like new Essence Reaver, right? The Essence Reaver that like Riven and Renekton was building, right? This one. So this is giving the Bruiser stats. So this is a lot better build for those champions. So per the Essence Reaver context, several champions make good use of Essence Flare. It's just that they're mostly not marksmen. We made a new item for them. Yeah, so this is for the Bruiser type champions. Before like a Lucian type champion can maybe build this. So rather than building Black Cleaver, could build this because it gives you the 20% CR. So situationally, you could build this instead of Black Cleaver or build it with Black Cleaver. It'll be interesting. And this is interesting because people might build this instead of Black Cleaver. It might take that same slot. So it does have reduced stats in terms of AD that Essence Reaver had 75 AD. and it is very expensive. So it's 3,400 rather than 3,000. So it is a really expensive pickup. So people instantly look at this and they're like, "Oh my God, bruiser stats. Riven is going to be insane with this item," and she is going to be insane with this item. Like this, when I first saw this, I was like, "Oh my God, this is a huge buff for Riven. I'm probably going to pick up Riven." I'm not even a Riven player, but it's going to be a huge buff for Riven. But this 3,400 gold and the reduction in AD might be something. Be interesting to see. But once you get this item, if you start snowballing, you get this item in a Death's Dance. Ooh, baby, it's like an expensive build if you go that build route. It's a really expensive item, but like the upside to this item is so high because it's bruiser stats. Like it's bruiser stats with essence flare. You know, if you can get rolling and you get this item, it's gotta feel good. I like this item. It'll make Riven so strong if you can actually get to that spike. It's just an expensive item. If you get some turret plates, ooh baby. Cool, updated Storm Razor. So now amplifies your energized attacks, causes them to slow the target, no longer grants a guaranteed critical strike after not basic attacking for a few seconds. We'll have to read this item a little because this item is kind of confusing. Alright, total cost 3,100 gold, so it's a lot more expensive. This is no longer our first item. So this will build out a BF sword, longsword, Shard, which is a little attack speed thing. 850 gold. 55 attack damage, 25 attack speed. Okay. Movement and basic attacks generate, so it's an energized thing, 2865 magic damage on hit, and slow target by 40%, so it's slow once you're stacked up for 1 second. Your other energized effects are 30% more effective and are also slow their target by 40%. So if you get like a static shiv with this item and you hit them, it'll like slow all their targets that were hit. That's pretty interesting. And then no longer crit, so no longer applies the crit. So this is removed. So no longer applies a crit. So this item is like a fourth item. It's if you're going like, so if you have a static shiv. Pretty sure this item's trash. Like really situational. I'm pretty sure this item's trash because I think you'd want like your defensive item like a GA or a BT. But I was listening to The Dive and they were talking about interesting, like with this item being in the build, if you're going like a full damage build and you went like the bloodline tree, and overheal, so you have like the bloodthirster passive, so it's like you have a bloodthirster and then you build this instead of bloodthirster in place of it, can maybe be a build pass, so you just have that crazy damage and utility of the slow. Could be interesting, but I'm pretty sure this item's trash. But it'll be interesting to see. The slowing effect is really interesting, how it'll stack with static shiv. But I think people really like RFC, and Pro Play is really good for just applying that auto. This with RFC might be interesting. Get the extra damage. The extra damage isn't much. Get the RFC slow. Huh. RFC slow with but you wouldn't want that on Ashe. Pretty sure this item's trash, but you can maybe go the bloodline overheal build, and it might be like situational, add it into your build if you're going full DPS. Could be interesting. Alright, Phantom Dancer. This item's really interesting. Now grants a shield at low health, but no longer decreases damage that from the last hit in champion. Spectral Waltz now triggers on attack rather than proximity to enemy champion. Okay. Existing defensive options for Crit Marksman, Maw Memorius, Guardian Angel, Merc Skim. Set users far behind on their core damage builds and can't contribute carry level damage. Yeah, so that's interesting. Okay. Reducing gold. Oh, that's good for a Yasuo. Reduction in attack speed, reduction in crit chance. Interesting. If you would take a damage that would go below health, gain a shield that would absorb 240 to 600. Scaling it. Okay, so it's kind of like Sterix. So this is a lifeline, so it won't stack with Sterix. I don't believe it stacks with Sterix. So this seems like a buff for Yasuo because it gives him a really good one-item spike, but Yasuo really likes putting Sterix, so I don't think he'll be able to build Sterix anymore. So, and the reduced crit chance might be interesting. I think this is a buff for Yasuo. It could be interesting on Graves. The Spectral Waltz is just, you have to actually hit the champion, not just be in range. But if you're in 550 range, you can hit the champion. So, it'll be interesting to see how this item actually works out. I think this is a buff to champions like Yasuo and Graves at one items, but But then you can't build other items of lifeline. I don't think it'll stack. I don't believe it stacks. But I think this is a buff to this item. Yeah, I like this item. Does have a reduction in stats, but the shield is pretty nice. 600. That's gonna be pretty huge for it. Can you imagine having this in a GA? In a BT? In a BT? So tanky. You probably want more damage. You could play around with like a bloodline build then. If you have this. Oh, you could really play around with the bloodline overheal build if you have Phantom Dancer in your build. It'd be really interesting. Like the tankiness and the AD build, go full damage with this. Interesting. Reduction. Oh wow, 600 gold. Just reduction in cost around the board, but some slight reduction in stats. So reduction in crit chance because people are gonna want to buy triple crit items anyways. So this isn't that bad. So the reduction in crit I don't think is that bad because people are gonna want to triple buy it, but the reduction in gold feels nice. Because people aren't gonna buy that. I hated when everybody bought this stupid ass item, and if you didn't buy this item, your champion was good. I hated the game that like if you played a champion that had to buy this item, your champion was bad, but you had to buy this item to make your champion okay. You know what I mean? Like the marksmans that were playable didn't buy this item. Think about it. Like Lucian, Ezreal, Draven didn't have to buy this item. And they were the best AD carries, in solo queue at least. And in pro play, pretty much. Last Whisper got buff. Thank God. That 10 AD was miserable. And 20% total armor penetration. That's great. That's good to see. It now feels worth buying this item. And the 150 gold increase feels nice. Like feels fine. Cool. These are just some itemization recommendations. Cool. This Lissandra nerf's hilarious. I heard Jat tried to talk about it because this is the change that Jat made because Jat's on the balance team now. I love Jat, but this change was kind of hilarious. The mana changes don't really mean anything. People were already like transitioning to more of a mana build. This might just full push them into. I mean, almost everybody was building Ludens first or second now, anyways, in pro play. And a lot of people were building Ludens in their games, anyways. This isn't going to make people not take Aftershock or anything like that. So I think people were already building Ludens anyways, so this isn't going to change much. Might just push people who were kind of on the fence of building Ludens over to that side. So this doesn't do anything. This is kind of a joke because hardly like the damage reduction is 10 difference. 10 difference right here, and it's slightly different late game. That doesn't change anything because you still like late game like is the big difference 40 damage right here. You kill the minion wave in 2 Qs and a W, or you can still kill the minion wave in 2 Qs and an E. It doesn't actually change anything. It doesn't actually change anything that happens. And the Jat's explanation for this, so this doesn't change like the wave clear. And Jat's explanation for this, he's like, you see a lot of pro players or high elo, they'll actually use this ability for damage rather than like repositioning. Yeah, but it's just like it's like a bonus that they do. Like I watched that and I was like, I heard him say that and I was like, I don't agree with you, but I'll keep an open mind. And I'll watch, because I watch a lot of like Lissandra plays. For example, I watch a streamer Midbeast a lot. I watch him play. He plays a lot of Lissandra. He plays Lissandra like how you'd expect, you know. He uses Z for damage sometimes, but most of the time it's to reposition in fights. And uses it for damage, you know, when it makes sense, which is, you know, what makes sense. And literally watch TSM play and watch how Bjergsen was using his and uses it for misdirections majority of the time. You will use it for damage sometimes. Like that 40 damage is not the difference in the team fight, and that doesn't make the difference in your wave clear. And I watched LS talk about this. I watched LS talk about the problem with Lissandra, and I tend to agree with him, is that the problem with Lissandra is not directly with Lissandra. The problem with Lissandra is all the other mages in mid lane aren't very good. So the champions that can deal well with Lissandra aren't very good, like the Orianas, like the like the Zoe. Like Zoe's starting to come back just because Lysandra is good, and the champions that do well in the Zoe aren't very good. Champions like Zoe, champions like Karma, champions like Lulu, like a long range, pokey supportive type champions. I think those are actually going to come back just based around the marksman changes because they'll make sense to be in the meta. And based around the junglers being I think the jungler is going to be a more supportive type role. It'll be a more bot focused, top focused type of meta. I think those are going to start to come back and naturally push her out of the meta. So maybe I'm just crying over spilled milk here, but this change didn't mean anything. Like this nerf was just might as well have not done anything, you know. IMO, maybe buff some of the control mages, or maybe not. I think the control mages are going to come back into the meta by themselves, but maybe buff the control mages to see what happens. But I don't think you need to actually, if you're going to touch Lysandra, just gut her. Or don't touch her at all. Don't do this pussy shit. Honestly. Like, come on, chat. I love you. But come on, man. Come on. Doesn't change wave clear. Alright, I'm gonna stop talking about it. Doesn't change wave clear. This damage is irrelevant. In fights, like it's irrelevant. Yeah, it's irrelevant. Oh my gosh. Alright, anyways. Cool. Q damage. It's a nerf for max damage and minimum damage for Q, so that's semi-relevant for like Sion's bad matchups and his kill pressure into like ranged opponents. That's semi-relevant for that. This is pretty relevant because now it will incentivize you to do W max, because having your W on a 15-second cooldown is pretty bad, especially in the Sion's like fighter matchups and some of his negative matchups. So some people already go W max, so this probably incentivizes you to go W max. It's interesting seeing Sion as the only tank that's in the meta is getting nerfed. He's been dominant in the meta since before Worlds, so it makes sense that he's getting nerfed in that regard, but it does suck that he's the only tank in the meta and he gets nerfed. With all of the fighters getting nerfed, with Sion getting nerfed, it might just open it up to champions like Maokai, champions like, I think Orange trash, so he probably won't get played in the top lane. So trash in terms of laning, I think he'll just get killed. So like that shield nerf was, maybe could push some more tanks to be back in the top lane, but it'll need to be seen, or we'll have to see. This patch is really interesting for pro play. It'll be a lot of trial and error, I think, but it's really interesting that the only tank got nerfed. This nerf looks like it's incentivizing you to go W max, which some people were already going W max. W max doesn't feel bad, but it seems like it'll incentivize you to go W max rather than Q max. Anyways, Zyra. So Zyra is kind of dominating solo queue in terms of win rates. Low elo especially feels really bad. You don't expect the damage. And the harass, so this is a nerf to her base damages. I don't mind this nerf. It would have been cool to see her in pro play, but looks like we won't get to see it. So she was dominating win rates all across the board, like bronze all the way to all the way to platinum plus. So kind of makes sense, but anyways. Gold bounties got fixed, so they changed the timing window. So I'm not gonna read all this, but basically there'll be less bounties in the game for people who are behind. So when you're behind, the bounties felt like it made no sense. So they had a timing if you got a lot of gold at one time based off of minions. So like if you collected like a 2-stack minion wave after you just died, like you TP'd into a double stack minion wave and you collected that wave, you might get a bounty on your head just because you collected a lot of gold at one time. So that type of system is going to be gone. Say you die with 200 less minion and monster gold on the enemy team, then you go back to lane and power farm 700 gold while the enemy team averages 300. Previously, you get a 100 gold bounty for having more than 400 gold on the enemy team. Now you won't have that bounty at all because your first 200 gold was erased by the buffer. Yeah, so if you die, then you have a buffer time for getting gold, because naturally you'll get more gold income after you die. Because minion waves generally will be pushing back into you. So if you're behind, you should have less bounties on you. And already people have been feeling this. So bounties should feel a lot better. Loading screen stuff, cool, upcoming, cool. People crying about the patch. Cool. So overall, this patch is weird. Happy about ADs being back. So that's cool. So ADs are back. I don't know how to balance Akali. I love Akali. I don't know how to balance her. People are crying a lot about Akali. Definitely something had to be done. I mean, you can't have a champion be banned, have like 100% presence for 8 months. You can't have that, right? You can't have 2 champions with 100% presence for 8 months. Like, come on. Top lane meta is going to be really interesting for pro play. Solo queue probably won't change all that much. Aatrox probably not as good. But Urgot is probably amazing. And so like solo queue is probably not much difference. Just fighters, you know, like the standard fighter carries like Jax, Darius, Renekton. Irelia is probably fine. Fiora is probably fine. All those champions are probably fine. Urgot is amazing. Sion's still probably fine. You might have to go WMAX, but WMAX feels fine on him. Some of the tanks might be better, but probably not blind pickable. So top lane meta and solo queue probably not changed all that much, except for you can't play these champions as much. Aatrox is probably fine, but gonna have to learn how to play around his cooldowns now and his healing. Akali's dead. Interesting. Top lane and pro play is gonna be interesting because Urgot is king. Probably will just be banned every game. It'll be interesting to see what, if any tanks come out, or any other types of carries. If like Darius comes out or something like that. It'd be really interesting to see what comes out in top lane. Top lane and mid lane is most interesting for me to see what will come out. Bot lane's not that. Bot lane honestly isn't that interesting, even though all the crit changes. Like I think we'll see a lot of crit AD carries. I think we'll see champions, maybe some of the squishy marksmen. I think a lot of the scary mid lane and top lane champions that are just running around killing everybody are kind of gone. And we'll see more supportive type champions in the jungle. So I think we're going to see, League goes through a cycle, you know? It goes through a cycle of like bot lane focus, then solo lane focus, then jungle focus, then bot lane focus. So it's just going through a cycle, and the cycle it's on, I think it's going to go, as far as pro play goes, it's going to be really bot lane focused. Bot lane carry meta. Maybe not bot lane focus, but bot lane carry meta. So I don't know if that's good or not. But turret plating and pacing of the game is still going to be fast. So, but they reduced item gold, so I think the game will still be fast paced. But maybe the champions that'll be played are not going to be the early game crush stomp champions that we're used to. So, it'll be interesting to see what champions come out of the woodwork for this patch in pro play. Maybe it won't change all that much, but definitely in the solo lanes will be the interesting things for pro play. And the jungle. Solo lanes and the jungle. I want to see Ivern come out. Please, Ivern. I just want to see him. He's a boring champion, but I love him. He's my boy. Anyways, that's it. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you watched the whole video, it's about 40 minutes long. But that's going to be it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sorry about the weeb music. I hope the volume was good. First time recording like that, and I'm happy I got glasses. Anyway, that's it. Hey, thank you so much. I hope you guys liked it. Bye-bye. Where's the record button? There you are. Okay. I found it. Okay. Bye-bye. Bye. Alright.